send it. And we are back with another week of Geeking Out. What's up, family? How we doing?
How's it going?
Pretty
good.
Doing all right. Hanging in there.
Absolutely, because that's all we can do is hang in there.
Honestly, really.
We have another week as we travel down the Witch's Road into our spooky season. And we are going to talk about a lot of cool things today, but our specific topic is gateway horror. As usual, we have a drinking game. Anytime you hear the word horror, make sure that you take your cup and have a sip with us.
Come on.
Because, you know, what else should we be doing besides getting tipsy and talking about horror?
I'm not getting tipsy. It's a school night, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, please.
Oh, wow.
The kids don't matter anymore.
It's still early.
Unschooling is the big trend now, Ricky.
It is. Kids are not our future, okay?
Oh, no. I rebuke that statement.
Why? When leaders have to be 80 years old to run. Anyway.
Good grief.
But anywho.
I saw no lies, heard no lies.
No, I mean, yeah, it is true. To start us off tonight, we are going to jump into the Witch's Road. And this is a great way to talk about gateway horror because this is gateway horror.
Sorry. I just had to add that in there.
It's so adorable.
I had to add that in there. I'm sorry.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, so I have a lot of notes on this episode. Episode 5?
I for a second there, I honestly forgot that it was episode 5. I thought it was still episode 4.
Me too.
Like I was like, wait a minute, are we almost done like that?
I really thought
we
I
are
missed
almost
the episode.
done. Honestly, we got 4 more episodes, which is 3 more weeks. So I'm actually glad it's almost over.
We're over the hump, yeah.
Yeah. So how are we feeling? This is episode 5. We're over halfway through the season. What are some general thoughts and feelings about Agatha all along?
I'm enjoying it. I was kind of annoyed that they did this reveal at this point in the episode. But go ahead.
Okay, I hear that. And that's on the list. We got to talk about the reveal. Lucia, how are you feeling?
I mean, as someone that read probably too many comic books, I mean, I said before that I didn't follow any of the magic stuff. And I was like, I even knowing who this kid is supposed to be, I'm like, I don't know who this kid is. It's like it's kind of upsetting with the reveal is like, who?
Well, it was always going to be that way. It was always going to be that way if you didn't like.
How are you feeling?
But like, then who's the show for? Who's the show for? This is narrow casting at this point.
Get yourself better knowledge, Lucio.
Read a book, Lucio.
Do you even comment? Do you even Google?
And that's supposed to be your thing, for God's sakes.
God. Oh,
I was just telling my kids. Oh, did you read comic books with your little dad? I was like, let me tell you about the old magic. It's like I had a subscription where I paid them and they do my pulls for me, so I didn't have to go to the shelves like a little mundane human being. I was a giant
peasants.
nerd. Not just not a regular nerd. I was a giant nerd.
Not
go
like
to the shelves and get them myself. I have people for that.
Well, for me,
not the old days, not the old comics.
For me, I really thought that I missed the episode this entire week. Like before we had to film, I literally had to make sure like I didn't miss the episode, right? Because after that whole reveal situation on the internet, so I was like, wait, what's going on? But anyway, Yeah, I mean that was a pretty good episode. It was a little interesting to go that route. I'm interested into seeing how they explain all of this and what all of this means. So I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, I'm geeked ish, right? Like for me, this episode was almost what I wanted the show to become.
Mhm.
Um, it it still didn't quite deliver it for me, but I enjoyed this episode the most. And not even have to do with the reveal. It's more about the tone of the
Mhm.
episode and doing more magic actually again. So as the team called it, analog magic. So it's nice to see actual spells and stuff since this is a witch show versus the
Mhm.
escape room treatment
Uh,
every single week. And as soon as they
Yeah.
entered into that house, I thought of Lucy. I was like, escape room, another escape room, and it's getting old. So I'm glad Ricky's to your point, Ricky, you're tired. You were shocked about the reveal. So at this point, I was like, well, shit, we can't do anything else. So like, we can't go
well,
week to week in rooms. So I'm glad that they got that over with.
I guess so. I guess my thing. All right. So for those that are watching and you've seen the you haven't seen the episode yet, whatever. By this point, what's the word? Spoiler. I
Yeah,
Oh
guess.
yeah.
yeah.
But
Just in
so
case.
so at this
Spoiler alert.
point, which I'm also surprised about, was the fact that this episode was Agatha's trial. I would think they would go through the others first before they get to her. So it was Agatha's trial, and she gets. We see a little possession. We see a little bit of exorcism, movement going on, and we get the big reveal then. So I was surprised with the plot parts of the plot in this episode, which it should surprise me because we're technically more than halfway through, but I guess just where we are in comparison to the first half of
Mhm.
the show, where we are. So like it was Agatha's trial. We see the big reveal at the end. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Now that we still have what, one more, two more trials to do?
Like 4 more. I
Yeah,
think
and
it's
then
10.
that
Oh,
No, I meant
I'm sorry. You're
trials.
talking about
Technically,
the
how many more
trials.
escape
two
rooms do
more
we have?
trials.
Yeah.
We have
2. I think it's
So
2.
I mean, so like are those going to be bigger than Agatha's? More important than Agatha's?
yeah.
I
It
guess we
was
find
a
out.
little bit like the costumes are great. Like the some of the like it's a sleepover. It's very like I loved it. I think someone took a retainer out at one point.
Yes.
Great, loved it. But it's like okay, like yeah. Well, one, why is Agatha's thing now? Because it seems like that one would be more pivotal. But maybe I mean maybe that's something that's maybe it's not.
Maybe this
Maybe
is
the
the pivot.
teens is yeah. But also like I was wondering if
I
they
have
did.
a theory.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Finish. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking like if someone dies before their trial, do they still have to do that person's trial? Because that seems counterproductive, I guess. Like if they didn't replace Mrs. Hart, is that her name? It then
Then would you still have to do
yeah.
the
Also,
one for the
okay,
Big Witch? Yeah.
real quick, when they did the Ouija board thing and it said Mrs. Hart, I know I'm not the only person that said, "Who the heck is Mr. Sharp?" Why did they do that?
No, not Mr. Sharp.
Mr. Sharp. Yeah, you were by yourself. It was all you.
No,
Yeah,
I see
for
other people
sure.
that made the same connection online. I'm like, thank goodness. But like,
I don't know.
Mr. Shark, that's
Mr.
crazy.
Sharp, the greatest
a
Marvel,
name.
Marvel villain.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Bear me. I read it me.
Let's
Oh.
hold that thought, Jeremy. Before we get there, I want to sort of slow walk the beginning of this episode because we start off with some exposition. They rewrote the Salem Seven's history from what it is in the comic books, and I think that's something important to note. How we're moving forward with Agatha and Nicholas Scratch and this story, just in general. In the comics, the Salem Seven were children of Nicholas Scratch, so of course they are the grandchildren of Agatha Harkness. And this, which I actually prefer the MCU's version more than the comic books, that these Salem Seven is the descendants of the witches that Agatha killed. So now they actually have a real purpose to why they're sort of hunting after Agatha and potentially anyone connected to her. So I thought that was super dope.
They also have a hive mind, which is really cool, and it's Agatha showing. I'm technically showing mercy, I guess, is something that comes back to bite her in the butt. Is also, I mean, feeds into that. Like, okay, why is she going to bother being nice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, just more of the more of the magical system is being explored. If I'm going to highlight the positives, right? Because even like when they summoned the Green Witch in the episode before, there was a portal that was left open for the Salem 7 to be able to come through. So there are other ways to access the Witch's Road. So that's interesting. I love the broomstick. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, in regards to the Salem 7 coming through, that was a little bit of a plot twist for me. So that did shake it a little bit. I was like, oh, they're coming. Oh, okay. All right. They're coming out that grave right there. That's it's gonna be some trouble now.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. I love keeping that conflict of the Salem 7 going, because I didn't know how we're gonna tie it in or bring it back, since you have to sing the song to get to the road. I wasn't thinking about that grave anymore, so they did a good job making me forget about it.
Yeah. Could we go back to that comment that it may or may not have been a trial? That's interesting.
It's interesting. I don't know if it was technically Agatha's trial. I think it was the teens.
It's about tricks and trials.
It does say tricks and trials. And we know that he has the ability to, manipulate some things. So maybe it wasn't real. I don't know.
I mean, we've seen that he's been able to manipulate something. But also like the idea that she somehow released the sigil on him.
She did?
They're like, but I don't know if she. I don't know.
I don't think it was removed.
So the theory is because she inadvertently, indirectly identified him.
Yeah.
She didn't outright say who his mother was, but she inadvertently said that kind of released him from his, for whatever was binding him. Not binding him, but blocking his ability to say who he is.
Oh, that's why he was able to show some power. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So because the sigil can only be broken if it's no longer needed to protect the person that it's for.
Or
but to your point, it's still.
Didn't they say something about, or if the witch who cast it dies?
Well,
if the witch that put it, no, it wasn't about who died. It was about it's not who. It was about if it no longer needed to be used. That's how you break it. If the purpose is no longer served.
There's a mention of phases when they entered. Oh, when they entered the room, I thought they mentioned the blood moon though.
It could have been a consequence of.
Yeah,
it could have been a consequence of them briefly leaving the road, like physically leaving the road, because you're not
when they flew.
Right.
So it could have been a consequence of that. That's very true. It's a very, very big possibility that things are different. I mean, we saw them kind of go into an upside down situation when they were on the brooms for a minute. So
that was so cool.
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that was
maybe things have reversed or changed in some way. Who knows what that whole moment did, especially with that blood moon situation. And it who knows? But it's fun. It's fun to think about.
Along the same lines, it's a punishment for trying to circumvent the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean that could be a thing because I could see that possibly being true. I think that was one of the coolest moments for me in the show was enchanting the broomsticks and how that whole process works. That was super dope. And again, showing more magic.
And like the coven is a community, right? Because you can't fly without your coven. You have to exchange brooms. That was really cool.
You have to exchange it for it to work, for the magic to work.
Yeah, and I think that's super dope. And Patty LuPone was like, I haven't done this in centuries. So just little nuggets of her character, how long she's been alive. I'm sure her whatever her trial is going to be nasty because it feels like it's about to turn up a little bit on this show.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Was anybody shocked about the death of Alice, the protection witch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
I'd
this
say
point
yes.
in the show, yes. I figured that she would die. It'd have been sooner.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't anticipate anyone dying after Mrs. Hart until really like whatever this climax is. Honestly,
yeah.
That's when I thought they were going to just drop like flies, not during the trials.
Right.
Like the last third of the series, where it's like
that two-parter.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I was a little upset about it just because it's like, okay, we did her trial, we don't need her anymore, we can throw her away. I was like, okay, that's kind of, especially when they just started like building that character up, and then because like they got me almost interested enough that I cared, and then they killed her. Like if they had held on to her a little bit longer, I'd have been. But that's the point of having the characters. Like, oh man, I feel bad they died. Not just like, oh man, that sucks. Like Mrs. Hart, we liked her because she was so fun and so just gleeful and happy to be there, and you're like instantly attached to this lady, and then they kill her. You're like, oh okay, I did like that lady. That sucks that she's gone. This lady is like, oh, I just got a hint of who she is. I kind of like who this character's turning out. Oh nope, never mind. Doesn't matter anymore.
Deuces.
Yeah.
Lucy, I'll just stop resisting, okay? Invest in the series and get on board.
What is this, Game of Thrones, man? We just kill people left and right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do we think that Agatha did it on purpose?
No. Not initially.
I don't think that she knows any better. Like, I don't. Why would she know how to turn that off?
I think if you remember one of the flashbacks, she said to her mother, like, I don't know how to control it.
Yeah,
because you attack her, it just happens.
She eats you,
you know. And the only thing that broke her from doing it this time was when she heard Nick's voice. And that's the only thing that broke her. But she still, by that time, it was already too late. But it snapped her out of that trance that she was in, absorbing her powers. So, I mean, if she can't control it, she can't control it. So maybe she is just this misunderstood kind of witch. And so she just plays the role. And that's kind of what the fun part about her character, too. Because it kind of bounces between that. Like, you kind of think that maybe you see these sweet parts of her, like where she cares about people and cares about her connections, and like she wants to have a covenant, she wants these things, but then you see her revert to default settings when she feels threatened or something. Like it's like a defense mechanism, and she just throws that
very much jaded, jaded from her upbringing. And I wonder if like her ability to absorb power is really more of a reflex, because she can't just like activate taking someone's powers. Someone has to attack her first. So,
right. So her magical defense mechanism.
Yeah, right. So like she can't just snatch someone's powers. No, she has to either like she's in a fight, she has to instigate something, and then she can absorb.
Right. But if you try to hurt me, you're gonna lose it.
Right.
So be careful what you do.
Jeremy says Alice is still credit for a few more episodes. I'm speculating Rio turns her into a spirit, or her protection tap brings her back. So interesting.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Or she's not dead and this was just all an illusion and a dream.
Because it was a trick.
Homunculus. Because
it was a trick.
Because only 4 of them came up? Because
yes, because Rio
didn't come up them stairs. She didn't come up from them stairs.
Rio was taking souls.
She did not.
Yeah.
She was dropping off a soul for sure. Okay, so we have an image of the teen.
Give me a second.
In all of his glory and majesty. Was anybody shocked once is anyone not sold that his identity is Wiccan?
I'm gonna believe what they're telling me right now. That's what I'm gonna believe with. And after they've blatantly told us, I will
in the commercials.
All right, now if you trick me,
that part, I'm gonna pull it up in a second. And it's gonna just be hanging over our faces.
The revelation of his power was cooler than the revelation of who he is. Because all of a sudden turns on the power.
That's because you're not getting on board. You need to do your research.
I said I didn't want to.
He said
you better find out who these kids are.
I didn't read the 900 issues of Doctor Strange.
I didn't read them either.
You didn't. All you need to do is Wikipedia.
Okay. You just got to read about the major stuff. We don't care about the small things.
I didn't.
It's a cool image.
That's all you need.
Billy Maximoff dropped this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So did they say the name at all in the episode, or is the revelation actually 100% in this ad?
No.
Okay, so 100% was the ad.
It's from Marvel. Yes, 100% this ad.
That is so weird. See, I want to be mad at this, but also we live in a world where this should be a transmedia thing that this is a cool reveal that you get, but it's also just here's an ad.
Here's an ad,
and then more.
And that, but also you have to completely ignore the Funko Pop, and then you kind of have to yes, cool, you can be excited about it, yeah, but also it was
duh.
See, here's the thing. I really
I decided to do a switch up, and you're okay, well, that's
now see, they may get a reward if they do a switch up. I don't know. Okay, here's my thing. Either I dislike this show for trying to dangle this carrot in front of us that was so obvious, or I am angry with this show because they made something so obvious and then did a switcheroo at the end that's gonna piss me off. Because this just makes sense. Just keep it going.
All right. So, and essentially, the purpose of him. Okay, so we have him now, and the purpose is to Young Avengers. That's his purpose. Okay.
I mean, cool. if you want to make it all connect, sure.
Okay.
Hey, but I thought apparently stop doing that.
Whatever.
And apparently, Hulkling has been passed.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you guys. This sounds sarcastic. I be genuine. I watched and read a ton of Spider-Man because that was my guy. And there's all kinds of nerdy stuff that happens in all Spider-Man. He's oh my gosh. Hey, if this is your character, super excited for you. Genuinely super excited for you. I know totally I don't sound like I sound sarcastic. I'm genuinely happy for whoever likes this character. Awesome.
Not everything's for photo.
Since we are dealing with a Maximoff and this Agatha situation, it could very well still be a misdirect because again, this could not be real. This could be, and it could be someone else in disguise as him. It still can. It still can be. You never know. I mean, we already saw kids that weren't real.
This is a weird image to me. Just I see the crown is supposed to be very similar, but they're not related at all. They're not actually related at all. These two actors. This is always weird when they do these side by sides. Yeah. You casted someone that looks a little bit like them. You're
supposed to make it work. No, not everybody can look exactly like their parents.
This is just me being hypercritical. Sorry, guys.
I mean, but the kids from WandaVision didn't really look like either of Wanda or Vision, so
no, but he actually looks like if he puts on makeup, he looks like her.
But the thing is, he kind of looks like what the young Billy,
the little kid, is.
What he would look like. So I can get that. He looks like he could be the older version of the Billy that we saw in WandaVision. So, so okay,
yeah.
Ooh.
That would be very interesting.
You gotta look at his brother's soul. Crown instead of a Rue headband is fire, though. Well, yeah.
And the
yeah.
headband. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect.
I know
That
that I laughed earlier. I got so tickled by that. But I don't know. You still got to tell me how these kids came to exist. What's going on here? How did they come to?
I mean, in the trailer we saw a car wreck.
But what is that? How did they come to exist? Explain how these children were born. How were they created?
We're gonna find that out 3 projects from now. Maybe.
Did they become
real? No, we're gonna find it out next week. Car wrecks, died, soul goes into the body.
I guess
that's
car wreck. Song. Yeah, car wreck out.
Billy a body snatcher.
Out of Westview.
Billy a body.
That's what he
Speaking
is.
of horror.
Billy the body snatcher.
Exactly what he is.
Speaking of horror, there you go.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, speaking of horror. And that makes
Uh-oh. You're frozen, TaMon.
Oh no.
Is it me?
No, you're good.
I wonder.
TaMon's frozen on my screen.
Oh.
Speaking of horror, he just begrudged us.
Listen, I thought he was becoming Pietro for a minute. Quick
no, not Pietro.
I'll message real quick.
Let's see. Where was?
I'm trying to figure out what he was trying to say. So maybe we can continue with it, pick it up.
Okay, so essentially, here we got. All right, so we have the reveal. Billy. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe just because of just how the timing and the pacing for this show has been.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I wanted it to be towards the end. If like right now in this moment was the best time. I'm not sure. That's just my thought.
Well, I'm excited for what it could mean, because if you're doing this reveal, on social media about it, like that that means like with few episodes that you do have left, you must feel confident in the power of the final episodes.
Yeah.
And if if Marvel themselves is that confident in it, then all right, let's see what happens.
I need some hell to break loose now that we've done that.
I think of it the other way though, because if they didn't say who this kid was at the end of the episode, and now it's like, oh no, we need to give people time to look him up and be excited about him, which that's fine, but for me it seems the other way is please come back, guys.
I think it's very much hey, no, this is very much we're sure about this. This is what this is.
I hope that it's going to be great.
I mean, to your point, I do see how that could be a thing where it's like a Hail Mary to drive the viewership and stuff back up, because there have been a lot of reports discussing the dissatisfaction with the show and all that jazz. But of course, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because they've been having a problem with, female-led Marvel projects, as well as whenever they involve, queer people as well. Whenever it involves people outside of the norm,
that's a deep
the Marvel,
that's true.
Those people tend to automatically just say, "Oh, it's bad," just period. Don't even give it a chance.
About it.
Don't never give it a chance. Don't even try to look at it from a different perspective or find some sort of level of appreciation for it. It's just, oh, this is trash. This is woke. This is an agenda. No, it's people who can exist in stories that can not be about you. Get over it.
Yeah. I have a question for you though, Cadence. If this was a Netflix show, would it have been canceled by now?
I mean, it wouldn't have got. I mean, you can't cancel Netflix. I've never known Netflix to cancel something in the middle of the season, but if they ever did that, that would be.
Did they just cancel? What's the show
really
they just
bad.
canceled with
They'll cancel it, but they'll let you finish it out.
Yeah, they'll let you finish it out.
Because all the episodes have been probably most likely been posted.
Yeah, they're gonna post with those episodes. But
they
yeah,
don't
I mean,
always though. There's companies that have been like, oh, we made a bad movie, let's just throw it in the trash and write it off as a tax write-off. Like, what was that?
Yeah, but
Trimax.
a movie's gonna be different than a series. 9 times out of 10, most series aren't gonna get a mid-season trashing.
That's true.
It's just
no, they won't get a mid. But so what they've done now, what they've done now is that they'll finish the season, they'll decide not to renew it or cancel it, and then you probably got like a month or two after they cancel it for them to watch it because they're going to remove it off the platform.
Delete it from existence, like Willow,
right?
The Willow series, which was spectacular, and they removed it.
Or Rise of the Pink Ladies, which I thought was really great, but I ended up getting it on Apple TV.
Oh, that's good. I don't even know if I can watch Willow now. Like, I love that series, and
you literally have to like campaign for somebody to pick it up and add it to their platform instead.
Major petitions,
right? Like legit. Like that's what you have to do now to get shows you want to watch again. But you know they want to pay like millions of dollars for Friends to be on there.
The thing is, it's really hard. Like how long was Willow available? Like a handful of months.
Mm-hmm.
And so who's going to petition for that if they didn't see it already?
I am.
Welcome back.
No, but seriously, Willow was actually really good.
Yeah.
And I was a huge fan of the original movie, but the TV show on Disney Plus was good, and the connection they did was really nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it got canceled.
And they're just my thing is though there's because if we're gonna have a conversation about like streaming and then it's a thing, like there's so much on platforms to watch. Like what's the purpose of just canceling something after a season because it's not doing big numbers? They're not all going to do big numbers, especially if you have like niche content like that.
But the only thing you can base is about viewership. They don't even care if the ratings are good anymore.
Not even viewership, but like membership. They're trying to increase membership. That's what Netflix is.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about to your point about why things are getting canceled. They don't care if the scores are good. If people are not watching it, if it doesn't have any eyes on it, it's not going to get renewed, no matter how good it is.
Yeah.
And I don't understand this business model, but that's where we are.
So strangely enough, I saw a TikTok of Kerry Washington. She was doing some kind of event, and she was being interviewed, and she was asked like, "Hey, do you think Scandal would be able to make it at this time?" And she immediately said no.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So here's her reason why. So, and if you think about what it was like for Scandal and the atmosphere of like the fans like pushing for it, especially when in the age of like live tweeting TV shows, because Scandal was a mid-season premiere. And she said like it didn't really get as popular as it did until season 3, and so like that first season was not a full season. The second season got more episodes, and so like by the time they hit third season, she was like it was like 40 episodes before the actual show became big. And not only the fact that they're always very quick to not want a Black woman as a lead of a show, because prior to that there had been like 40 years between her and Diane Carroll. They were wanting Connie Britton to be Olivia Pope.
They sure did.
And so until they were just like, no, because this is literally about a Black woman. This is based on an actual Black woman. They were like, that's not going to work. But she said, if it weren't for the fans, and the not campaigning, but like the live tweeting and stuff like that, like they probably wouldn't have made it as long as they did. But nowadays, they don't give shows that much grace to build. Because she has another show. She has another show this year that just finished her second season, and they canceled it.
Is it Unprisoned or the other one?
Yeah, that one. The newer one I think that was on Hulu. Like 16 episodes.
Oh, Unprisoned. Oh, I love that show. That show, I'm mad it canceled though, but that show was great.
Right. But she was like, it has 16 episodes. That's less than a full season of a regular show, and it got canceled. So there's no grace, there's no room for shows to grow and find their footing now. And you can't find your footing in 8 to 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think the show was doing well, in my opinion, from what I was watching. I was enjoying it thoroughly. It had a lot of great conversation pieces, but that's how it goes. Me leading shows.
Yeah.
Okay, so where we got? Where we at?
So we took a little quiz about Agatha. We took a little quiz to see at this point, how we would do going down the witch's road, and we want to know what characters do we relate to the most. So we're going to pull up some of our results. And me, I received Jennifer Kale. You tell it like it is. You tell it like it is. I totally trust you to be brutally honest about my outfits, and you'd be right about them too. I think that's also fair.
You also have your skincare line.
Spot on. Line. She was ready. What did she say about Agatha? Dang, she took that retainer out.
What did she not say about Agatha?
I'm just she's scared because every time it's time to kill Agatha, she was like, "Kill Agatha." That's what we're gonna.
I guess we gotta punish her.
Punish Agatha.
You heard it.
So that's what we have to do. So that's who I am, Jen. Hopefully, I'll make it out of this.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah. All right, ready?
Yeah. You're witty, sarcastic, and so very insidious. You probably care a lot about those who are close to you, and you do whatever it takes to protect them. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Okay, I see it. I see it.
The description is pretty accurate.
Okay, so this is your show. Okay.
Right.
We understand.
Main character energy.
Yeah.
It's your show for now.
For now.
Okay.
Oh, look.
Right?
That's because you're not invested. See, that's what happens when you're not invested.
He's just happy to be here.
Honestly, and just like last week, just gonna eat it really early.
You probably don't know what's going on at least half of the time, but you possibly absolutely make up for it. Absolutely, Lucy.
I just love how in the beginning it says "I love you so much." I love you so much.
She's a total vibe. A total vibe. That's what she is.
Okay.
Sharon Davis. Mr. Shart. Mr. Shart.
And by the way, Cadence did a really good impression of you, Lucio, in this past episode, trying to be, she pretended to be possessed.
Oh my goodness.
It
was really, it was solid.
It was good. I didn't know what was happening.
That was fun.
Right.
That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right,
that
last
whole
one.
scene.
Come on.
Uh-oh.
Like I said, your show for now.
Come on.
Ricky's coming.
I saw that wink, Ricky. Yes. You absolutely very witty and sarcastic, but 100% funny and smart. I bet that you could read anyone easily, but choose to be kind instead. Yes. Yes.
Kindness is a virtue. I like to be demure.
Very kind, very demure. Well, 3 of us are alive as we travel down the Witch's Road.
No.
Indeed.
And the other person I would have cast you as, Lucio, they also just died. So
yeah, that's. So the thing is, I went for. I think the 2 shows I picked were I Love Lucy and The Golden Girls, and I was like, but I was really close to doing the what's the cop? Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I can't remember the other one, but I was like, oh, that really vibes with the Protection Witch. The other one,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they'd just be dead anyway.
Which one did I pick? I think.
Because
Anyone else remember what they picked for that one?
I know Buffy was an option for one of the questions. Was it Buffy?
Charmed and Buffy was on the same list. Yeah.
See, now I want to look.
Charmed.
I chose Charmed too.
I chose Buffy.
I did not pick any of those. What did I pick? I picked something weird.
You probably Big Bang Theory or
Friends, Frasier. What was it?
Frasier.
Yeah. Now I want to look. Okay, so because I'm gonna look at it again. All right, yeah. The first one was you can be Golden Girls, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, What We Do in the Shadows, which I've never seen or heard before.
Show us.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sharing my screen.
I've been meaning to watch What We Do in the Shadows because I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about it in that regard of it being funny and.
So Golden Girls, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, What We Do in the Shadows, Friends, Schitt's Creek, I Love Lucy, Abbott Elementary. Okay, so I thought I Love Lucy, but then I said Abbott Elementary. That's what I picked.
And I thought
picked Schitt's Creek.
Scroll up, Ricky. I thought Friends, but then I ended up picking Schitt's Creek.
I did Golden Girls for that one, 100%.
90.
Same. Okay.
All right.
Her.
Okay. So what's your role? I put divination. I said, divination for me.
Well, there's one more underneath it. There's one tiny one, I think, right there. Oh no, I was I'll protect everyone.
Oh, that's also why you died.
I picked I'm the leader, duh.
So did I. I picked it too.
The protecting everyone's why you got killed.
Probably.
All right, great. Now you need to pick one of the iconic divas.
I hated this selection. Diana. I absolutely hated this selection.
I picked Princess Diana.
I picked Marilyn Monroe.
Bernadette Peters.
I was trying to decide between Princess Diana and Go Down More. I was trying to decide between her and nope, right underneath.
Liza Minnelli.
No, that's not it. Maybe it was Bernadette then. I was probably trying to decide between her and Bernadette.
I picked Bernadette, witch from Into the Woods. The original witch from Into the Woods.
Oh, nice.
All right, so it says, all right, it's time for your trial. How are you going at it? And I said, I guess I'll just explore, but carefully. TaMon, you probably said I'm getting out there. Nothing else.
There's a method to all of this.
I
picked the last one.
Yeah, I picked the last one.
I picked I'm going to get it done and do it right.
That's what I thought. Yep. Yeah. That's the one. All right. You made it out. Congratulations. But someone died. What's your first reaction?
I died the first one.
So he was nonchalant about all that.
I feel bad as we should mourn them, but we have to keep going. That's the one.
Right.
Yes. That's what I picked too.
I think I picked we need to take a break and talk about it.
I thought about picking Oh Man.
I did pick Oh Man. I would have said Oh Man for real. I'd have been like, oh man. That's how I said it. All right, pick your witchy song.
Put a spell on you.
That's what I picked too.
What did I pick? I think I picked Florence and the Machine.
I thought about going to listen to these songs, but then I said, never mind.
No. Yeah, I only know two other ones, and that's Just the Girl and the Season of the Witch.
Right. All right. So, witchy TV show or movie? Okay. Buffy.
Yeah.
Bewitched. I picked some old stuff.
That's exactly why you got Mrs. Hart.
Right.
Yeah, I did pick the two oldest shows about old people. How old are you?
Right.
He's
a vampire.
So I was. Oh man. So I was.
I don't even know it. My parents were a vampire the whole time.
Yeah. So the truth is, my parents worked early morning hours, and so they dropped us off at our grandparents, and they pick us up at noon. And so I grew up watching like Bewitched, I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, every soap opera because my grandmother loves soap operas. Matlock, Howdy Doody. By the way,
I was a Nick at Night kid.
Oh, see, we didn't have cable, so it was just whatever's on. Columbo. It's like if it's an old person show, what's the Matlock? That was another one.
Wow.
Old.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. But yeah. All right.
Fun quiz.
That was.
I'm glad we
y'all taking it. If y'all are watching the show, go ahead and do the quiz and put your results in the comments. Please. We want to know who's in this coven. If you're watching the show, you're a part of the coven. Welcome.
Oh yeah.
Exchange brooms accordingly.
Please.
I didn't make it that far, guys.
So someone needs a broom here.
Can you imagine?
Come here, pet.
Sharon Davis on a broom would be the best scene ever.
It was a great scene.
She would have had a time of her life on the broom.
Sharon would have been there. Sharon would have been living. That would have been all of it for her.
That would have been living her best life, honestly.
Yeah, that's the freedom she needed.
Yes. Yep. All right, TaMon, what's next?
Commercial.
Okay. All right, let's do a commercial.
And
we'll be back.
Right back to talk about gateway horror. We ended with Tabitha looking out the window. In season 3 premiere,
I've taken over Scream King's headquarters over here with my buddy TaMon Kane. But how you feeling tonight, TaMon?
I'm feeling really, really good. Welcome to Scream King's headquarters. CEO.
Yes, I love it. Now we're here, with another episode to break down, from MGM Pluses, which is where it is right now. They kicked us off nicely with this season with some very shocking moments. But right now we're getting into, a little bit of history and things like that. So, how are you feeling about the season so far, TaMon?
Alrighty, that is Scream Kings from season 3 review. You can catch us every Wednesday live on Scream Kings. So make sure you check us out and check out From on MGM. It's an amazing show. I would say it's an awesome gateway horror show because it's basically a drama wrapped in horror.
I heard there's some drama lately in the Fromily because they released an episode earlier than normal.
What do you mean? Like they normally release it Sunday at midnight.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard they released like a day or two early.
Oh, well, I missed it, but I saw it. But I don't know if I saw it after everybody else. But
I'm in one of the little Facebook groups, and there was a lot of talk of like one of the latest episode being available earlier, and then folks like getting pissed off about spoilers.
Well, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
I got mad at Akil the other day when he posted something exactly when I was watching it too.
No.
Oh, it was the picture of Alice on the ground, dehydrated.
No.
That's not funny. I'm sorry.
No. That's horrible. Yeah.
She was gone.
No.
Okay, so I don't have the run of show in front of me.
Oh,
but
real quick, while you're looking through that, Ricky, I was going through the clips of old clips from the show earlier this week, and there's one that came up that was TaMon on Scream King saying, "Oh yeah, and that's our show, Geeking Out. Yeah, I know that clip doesn't show it, but I'm the nice one on this one." And then all of a sudden, Ricky appears on the screen and just like, which, oh my god, it was like midnight. I was just like scrolling through YouTube, that came up, and I was laughing my butt off. I think I woke someone up in the house. I was laughing so hard.
I had to do that a couple times on Scream Kings because they don't know how to act right.
It was so good.
The Rowdy Rough Boys. They're the Rowdy Rough Boys.
They
I don't
were.
think that's true. She does have to come play referee sometimes, but in that case, I am normally the nicest one. So
No, you're gonna be the nicest one on this show, TaMon. Not Scream Kings. You're talking about being the nicest one on Geeking Out.
oh, well, that's also true.
That's the face. That's the face.
Oh, well, wherever I go, that's my shtick. Nice guy.
The nicest one in the room.
Yes. Very demure, very kind, very nice. Oh.
Horror. Okay.
All right, so would you do us the honors of defining gateway horror for the people?
Please.
Gateway horror film is a movie that can help introduce viewers to the horror genre without being too scary. Some examples of gateway horror are The Little Monsters. Oh, I said it like twice. So y'all need to be
no, that was like 4 times.
I've been sipping.
Yeah, well, drink up some
That
more.
was like 4 times. Wow.
Yeah, y'all deserve that. And so yeah, that's gateway horror. So anything that can make horror not feel as creepy. When people think of I don't like horror movies, they normally go to like I don't like exorcisms or I don't like demons or spirits.
Mm-hmm.
They always sort of lean into like the spiritual side of things that sort of take them out of that moment of being able to enjoy those movies. But there are certain like other films that can help slide you into enjoying those things. Like Ricky is the best example of gateway horror being used to expand her love and palette of horror movies. And so I guess that's what gateway drugs do too, but
And then like what's great about gateway horror is like there are things from our childhood that I didn't necessarily would have considered or thought of as gateway horror, but definitely were. And I love those. But also I'm the ultimate scaredy cat. So within reason.
okay.
It changed it. I had to change my perspective and allow myself to watch things in daylight.
Absolutely.
That's yes.
In daylight.
You said there were some things in your childhood that technically are gateway horror that you didn't think about. What is one of those things?
My favorite, Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Number
the
3
cartoon and the TV and the movie. That's probably the biggest one, honestly, because like I watched the cartoon, like that's like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
I love Goosebumps. I loved. Someone had mentioned this. We were recording an episode of Scream Kings yesterday, and someone mentioned Erie, Indiana. Like that was Saturday morning show. Watch that as well.
All Real Monsters, I think, falls in there.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. I love that show. That was such a good show.
I did too.
Yeah.
Another show that I literally just thought about, and I actually wish I could switch it from one of the ones I picked later. But Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love me some Ghost Rider.
The PBS one, like the
Yes.
Ghost Rider.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man, I love Ghost Rider. That was some top tier storytelling right there.
The crazy thing is, I watched some of those shows, but at that time in life, when people were watching those shows, I was literally watching people getting murdered and sliced and diced and all those things. So it's just so crazy to see the juxtaposition of like viewing habits as kids.
And so as a mom, there are things that especially my oldest were really into that I didn't realize would be considered gateway horror. So she was definitely into Tim Burton as like a 3-year-old. We watched Nightmare Before Christmas a lot for at least 2 or 3 years. And Corpse Bride. And this isn't Tim Burton, but in that similar realm, like Coraline. Like
yes,
she was into all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, we watched it and we enjoyed it. Good stuff.
Honestly, I say the same thing about Coraline, but you mentioned Beetlejuice earlier. And, from a writing perspective, we don't have to tweak much for that movie to actually be a dark horror movie.
Yeah.
Right.
We just take some things, but like the editing is and the music will change that whole movie. It doesn't need much. It's there already.
Right. It's the comedy that eases it into your everyday watcher. Like it's the comic relief.
The dance sequence, all that, the song, music sequence,
Sheesh, one of my
Gooey Gus from Ghost Riders. All right, I have to look up this character.
You feel me?
I want someone to take Beetlejuice and give it the Bel Air treatment, where like we take Beetlejuice from not being just a comedy, but making it to a story about this demon haunting this house and this family over generations. That sounds like it could be cool, and I feel like we have that in something, but who knows?
Yeah.
In that, I mean, in that case, I would think that. Never mind. I just lost my train of thought. Keep going.
Oh, completely fine. It happens to me all the time.
Here, I was so when you're writing, like the advice for when you're writing is don't. Like you have to be aware of the genre that you're working in, because you can't you want to know what's pertinent, what's new, what's like what matters. But also when you're writing, you don't want to focus. They're like, don't focus on the genre. You're gonna write the thing you want to write, and then because genre is it's like a marketing tool. But then like looking at it from this way, it's like, okay, but we're looking at it from the other end where like the marketing is directed at consumers. So what do we define as horror? What do we define as whatever the genre is? What would you define as gateway horror? That is, it's really, I don't want to say confusing, but it's like it's weird for me to like try and split those hairs, because it's like, okay, like I think of Dark Crystal as being like dark, but not really horror.
That's interesting.
It's maybe splitting hairs, but like but Labyrinth I would put in that same milieu of like that type.
That's
of
horror.
film.
Labyrinth is horror.
Labyrinth you would call horror. Okay, all right.
So you can put Dark Crystal there, like
I mean, if you're going to classify Labyrinth as horror, then 100% Dark Crystal is way creepier than that. Both of which I had my like 3-year-old daughter watch, and she was super into it. Like when we were looking at this at Gateway Horror, I was like, I don't know, because I like you guys are much more well versed than I am in horror. I'm aware of like how. So my mentor professor is Stephen Graham Jones, who professionally writes horror. He writes way too much. And actually, speaking of that, he had a quote that I pulled up here that says, because I was like, okay, what do we define horror as? Sorry guys, I'm frozen here on my screen. So Stephen said, is it an interview from LitHub said in 2020 said, horror can change your behavior. It can make you turn off the lights in your house in a different sequence at 11 o'clock at night. It can make you edge along the wall to get to your bed instead of just brazenly walking across the middle of your bedroom floor. I love that horror puts you on a string like that. It turns you into a puppet not necessarily of the writer, but a puppet of your own terror, of your own dread. I think that's beautiful. It's like, okay, that's an interesting take on what horror is. And I think he was the one who also introduced me to the idea that like the two genres that are closest, like horror's closest genre is romance, because both of those are looking for an actual physical reaction from you.
I get that, because gothic romanticism is a huge subgenre in horror.
I can honestly say like his definition of horror is how I felt about horror as a child. For sure, just like the being very wary of having to turn off the lights when it's time to go to bed after watching a movie, and like trying to make it to the room without snatching you up in the middle of walking, and then like being extra like weary of every single noise you hear until you fall asleep. And with the ADHD, my mind's already racing. That's the worst thing for me to do before bedtime. So
I just remember the youngest thought I have of being afraid of something like that is not wanting to step on a shadow. Like, you're walking, the lights are on. Like if you're in the kitchen, only one light is on, but the light is only casting on one part of the floor. And so like figuring out how to not get on the shadow, but get on the floor so I can cut the light on so everything will be on. So that was the only thing I remember trying to avoid as a kid, being scared.
Was it from like a show or from a book, or is just like a weird thing in your brain? You decided like, oh, kids are weird. I get it.
I think it was just scary to me. But the fact was I tried to overcome it. Like I was trying to get through it so I can solve it. There is
Mine's were bathrooms and basements, and that's because at the time, the two things that were like the biggest stories and also movies was Candyman and Bloody Mary at that time, and completely freaked me out. And I just felt like at any moment, if I'm in a bathroom, it can happen. I know you have to do very specific things. I know you have to do that, but I didn't want to risk it at all.
Yeah,
and with compelled to
Bloody Mary.
Right, and with basements, they were just always super creepy to me because like, what's down there? Why? And then I'd be down there, and like in my grandma's basement, like when she used to live in this one house, it was like this creepy, dusty mirror down there, floor-length mirror, and I was like, nope.
That sounds very Midwest of you.
Yeah, I used to see stuff at my grandma's house. Even when we would go to bed, and they'd be like, we'd be telling like ghost stories, and then you see like I would see like a witch's shadow cast from the window onto a wall, and I'd be over it. I freaked out.
Yep.
There is. Wait, before I say this, are we going to talk about it? No, we're not. There is a movie called Gretel and Hansel. It came out in 2020. It's horror fantasy.
Is that the one with Hawkeye?
No.
I'm looking at it right now.
Sophia Lilia, and we know her because she was in It as the first It remake as the girl. She was in Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know what role.
Yes. She was the druid. I can't remember.
Oh, that's what she was.
She was a tiefling druid.
Okay,
that's the part I remember.
Okay, so Gretel and Hansel has some of the best imagery I have seen in cinema. Let me just tell you that
this
starting
poster
out,
looks great.
Look through some of the images. It is just ridiculous. You know how great Into the Woods was?
Yeah.
It's just as beautiful as that, if not more. But the story is so wicked, but it's told through the guise of a familiar fable that kids, I think, will be able to understand. This is pushing it for some age brackets, but it's horror fantasy. And I think that's the subgenre that the Labyrinth and all those fall under.
Well, I mean, like Hansel and Gretel, like as a story itself, it isn't necessarily
terrifying.
Like, yeah, it is terrifying. Like at its core.
Yeah, I'm thinking about kids being killed and eaten. Yeah,
like I'm lost in the woods, and this woman's trying to eat me.
That's Lilia's friend from whatchamacallit, from Agatha.
Exactly. It teaches you how to create a trail. Like, who would think to like do a trail of snacks so they can find their way back home? Like children.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's take a tour down some of the popular gateway horrors throughout the years. Let's start with the 80s. And the one that first comes to mind for me is Scooby-Doo.
And I would never think about that as horror as a kid. Because, like, I sit and watch Cartoon Network, and that was one of those things that you watch for hours. They'd have those reruns on for hours. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even think anything of it.
Yeah. That's one of the like weird sticking points is like just putting a monster in it does that make it horror? And kind of it does. Like, I mean, it's like flavors of, like, oh, we're gonna season this show with a little bit of horror here. We're gonna,
but it's the suspense and the mystery that leans it more horror. Because technically you don't know the monster is not a monster until the very end.
Unless you've seen 3 episodes of the show.
I mean,
yeah. But even then, I mean, there were a few episodes where it wasn't necessarily a culprit. It was just a mystery. It was very rare. Actually, I think it was more so on some of the movies that you got that. Where it actually was legitimately something tied into maybe a human factor, but there was still a genuine spook factor to it.
Yeah. And I remember there being several episodes where I was like, I don't know how, like I'm presuming that this is like the other episodes where it's a human doing something, but like this is super this seems supernatural to me. How is this being pulled off, kind of thing?
I think like in the movies with like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. like actually had a supernatural element to it.
Yeah, I thought so.
As opposed to the TV show, like there was actual supernatural element,
Yeah.
which is different. Which that doesn't make it scary, but like that just adds a different layer to it.
And it is an interesting twist on it.
Yeah.
But also, there's a Scooby Doo, which is the one. This is probably the only one I own today. It's the.
Were you a Hex girl?
No, it's Daphne. It's Daphne and Scooby and I think Scrappy and maybe Shaggy, and she's solving like these 13 ghosts or.
Of course, it's the Daphne one.
Duh.
I had to check that real quick. Yup.
Clock it.
No, not you, Ricky. No, Lucio. Cam, you're supposed to have my back. This is trash.
Hey, trash. They got your number, girl. I don't know what to do. They got
I got clocked and read in less than 20 seconds. Thanks, guys.
Oh,
yes,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, Addams Family and the Munsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also shows I watched with my grandparents.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love all of those. The black and white Addams Family, yes.
I remember I watched the Munsters before I saw the Addams Family TV show. I remember watching the movies. Like, the movies were great. The Munsters, when they, as Nick at Night started to progress through the decades, that's something I remember watching very regularly.
Yeah, they started phasing that stuff out as it progressed. Honestly, some of the older stuff, and they started replacing with some of the older, newer stuff.
Psychos.
Look, this when they started showing things from the 90s at like 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, what am I doing? This is stuff in syndication. It's not right.
Indulging in nostalgia is what they're doing.
We love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, will we consider Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie?
Bewitched, yes.
I Dream of Jeannie, no.
Jeannie,
yes.
Yeah,
I would seen Wishmaster. That's all I want to say.
I don't think that, like, just putting a monster in it doesn't really make it horror. Like,
I don't. There's no suspense to it.
Bewitched did have its moments where, honestly, it's mostly when the what's the Samantha's mom showed up. I can't remember. Yeah. God, I couldn't stand her. She's like just constantly she's there to be a nuisance.
Right.
Correct.
Like, understanding that's who the character is supposed to be, but it's like, oh my gosh, why? But
because they're clearly comedies, and like the supernatural element doesn't automatically make it horror.
No, but it gives it I would say it would give it the gateway vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I would say I Dream of Jeannie is more just straight fantasy than anything.
Yeah.
Like, he just
I that one. Yeah. There's a larger through line of horror with witches versus genies. So
yeah.
I mean, recognizing though that there is like a friend of mine he wrote a story that has to do with genies, and like apparently the like historically very frightening.
Yeah, the jinn are awful.
Yeah.
I won't say they're awful. I don't know how far my bloodline goes, but I will just say that the jinn, this might be a reach, but Passions, yes, it is. I was gonna say that Passions.
I feel like you're stretching a smidgen. You might do some.
I don't know if it's too far of a stretch.
It's not a stretch at all.
I don't think it's too far of a stretch. I think it's pretty.
It's not a stretch
at all.
You're right. Because
I don't remember this at all.
You don't remember Passion?
It's Passion.
A
soap opera. It's about this town called Passion.
No.
You are my passion.
I ain't gonna remember that much now.
I don't remember the town, but it was a soap opera. But a witch who created a doll and made it alive. And
okay. I do recognize this little kid. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody remember when he died.
Harmony. That's what. Yeah. That's
Harmony. Yep.
Okay. So yes. Okay. So you're right. That wouldn't be a stretch because, like, what soap opera did you know at the time at all had ever like had that element to
Passions.
It? Passions was it. Passions was it.
I mean, even though Marlena got possessed on Days of Our Lives, which is one of my favorite storylines.
There was a storyline where there's like a nun and her twin sister was there and maybe was possessed by a demon, but that was honestly probably after this point.
That's my gateway horror. Not that Days of Our Lives. Watching at my grandmother's house in Mississippi as a kid with her that summer, watching Days of Our Lives, and she got possessed. Oh, I'm done. Yes, I'm here.
Port Charles had angels and vampires. Golly.
Do we need to do a soap opera episode, guys?
I feel it.
I do not have the bandwidth for a soap opera.
Can we talk about Soap Dish with Whoopi Goldberg and Sally Field, though?
Look, because there's so much. There's decades worth.
Literal decades. I don't know how someone would.
Decades worth of storylines that I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
that's a very long. That's a very long page.
We'll put a pin in it.
We'll put a pin in it.
Or not. It's okay.
We'll put a pin in it. And then we can talk about superheroes who used to be on soap operas. And then we can talk about, I got it. Don't worry.
Okay. Parking lot.
Parking lot. Okay.
Scooby-Doo now.
Scooby-Doo. Daphne and the 13 Ghosts, something like that. And it was more adult, but it was really about them hunting down spirits that released from this ghost. So it's full on supernatural.
Okay. And it's animated.
It's animated, yes.
All right, I gotta look up what Little Monsters is.
Oh my God. That's one of my favorite movies.
Okay, I remember this one. Okay, I remember this one. I don't think I actually watched it, but I remember this one.
So I'm the only one who tried to go under their bed to a new place?
Oh, come on.
No.
You know I did it.
Yes, Lucio. Yes.
No. I definitely.
That's the last thing I want to do. That's the last thing I'm trying to do.
And it's so funny because when we get further down, it's something that's similar to that movie that came from my recommendation. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about Monster. Huh?
You seen Little Monsters, Cam?
Jeremy Berry, mind your business.
We're not ready yet. Give us a
second.
Fred Savage and Howie Mandel. I did not remember Howie
Mandel. It was so good, y'all.
It was a lot of fun.
That movie is still good, and it still is it was a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
Ricky, I dare you to add that to your list with your kids.
Okay. That's easy peasy.
Gremlins
was, oh my God. Gremlins. Okay, so we owned all right, back in the day when VCRs, do you guys remember when VCRs were like several $100s?
Sure.
I was a child.
Expensive, sure.
So we could not afford a VCR, but what we could afford to do is go to the local grocery store and rent a VCR for like $1.25 and like 2 movies. And I think they were like $0.25 each, 2 or 3 movies. And that would be our weekend. We just plugged the VCR in.
$0.25
Hey,
Lucio,
I was also buying butterscotches.
How old are you?
How old are you?
You are a vampire.
Right after I went to the Sony Pop shop.
I
was pitching with my girl.
That's not his handle, y'all. That's his ancient name down there. Lucio Man. That's his full name.
The Shadow Man.
And that picture behind him is actually him from when he was a kid.
In a fairy tale book.
Oh my
He's
God.
built into lore. Oh my God. We have a celebrity.
Interview with the vampire.
Oh man.
This is truly the best show now. We have a vampire, a couple of witches. We have a great panel, guys.
Unfortunately, I think if there was anything like that, I wouldn't have any like cool. Oh, you're not a vampire. You're just like a guy that got cursed that just gets to live forever. Oh, sorry, dude.
Oh no, your ancestors used to be that, but we stripped them, and now you're just immortal.
I'm some witch that turned some other witch, some better witch the wrong way.
You're actually Pinocchio who grew up to be an immortal. Oh my God. Cam, call the writers of Once Upon a Time. Pinocchio backstory. Lucio.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's leave the 80s and let's travel to the 90s, right? So I have Hocus Pocus.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my movie. I watch it I haven't watched it this season yet, this year, but I need to watch it.
Movie night.
That's
Okay.
my wife's
Oh,
Yes.
so okay, so since the merger of like Disney Plus and like Hulu, there's now like some they have like their own like their own channels now on there where they're just straight up streaming different movies and shows, and you just click on it and watch. So I watched it was a Disney Plus, and it was like it's Halloween stream,
Mhm.
so they're just playing
Ooh.
Halloween movies nonstop, and it was Hocus Pocus and of course Hocus Pocus 2.
So good.
You know, I could have gone without Hocus Pocus 2, but Hocus Pocus
Oh,
was
it's
fine.
so good though. Oh, the intro's
I,
really good.
you know,
Dude. I still even without it being, of course, it could never live up to one. Most sequels cannot, but as its own separate thing, it was good for the nostalgia. And
yeah,
yes,
that's what it was.
was.
That's what it was. Like it was fun. I didn't need Hocus Pocus 2, but it was fun. I didn't need Enchanted 2, but it was fun.
Wow.
I didn't need it. It was fun. It was
So
fun.
is that gateway horror? Enchanted 2 was a little spicy.
Yeah, Enchanted 2 was a little spicy.
It's more fantasy.
Amy Adams was good.
No, it got a little dark.
It got dark.
A little dark.
Fantasy can be dark too.
Fantasy should
But
be
I
dark.
mean, but when you get that dark and you start kind of playing with that element, how they did it blurs the lines. It could be gateway horror. That kind of pushes it into gateway horror territory for me.
Imagine as a child being obsessed with this character, right? Amy Adams' character, and see her transition to become this darker, because she was really good at being evil. And I could even tell they were restraining that back for editing and what this was. They could have pushed her and made her really nasty. And maybe it's the horror guy in me. Anytime I watch something, I always think about,
this could be.
This could be really great if they just.
This has the potential.
If they sprinkle just a little
just turn
bit
that
of
knob up a tiny bit, yeah.
I couldn't even watch. I couldn't even enjoy Beauty and the Beast. I was like, this is almost great if the Beast was like trying to rip her to shreds the whole movie, but whatever.
I thought you were talking about a TV show.
Oh, that was dark. That's actually okay. That's gateway horror. That TV show, y'all remember that with Linda Hamilton?
Beauty.
Beauty with the girl from Superman, Clark's.
I can't remember that actress's name.
Lois Lane. Her face.
She was Lana. She was Lana in Smallville.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean now.
She went on to do Beast. That's other TV show.
Right.
And then Beastly was the movie with one of the twins, Mary Kate and
Vanessa Hudgens, and I think it was Mary Kate.
Yeah, that story leans really into horror. Now that I think about it, that's a good topic. Disney stories that are in this category.
I mean, because right now, like as with the 90s, I think the late 90s would include like Halloween Town.
Love Halloween Town.
Love all of them.
Watch that too. I gotta cue that up too.
But like a lot of those early DComs were, at least your holiday season DComs were, of course. So like, Don't Look Under the Bed. What was the other one? Oh,
Twitches. You gave me grief about Twitches. You gave me grief about Twitches.
Go Twitches. Go Twitches.
Ghost of the Megaplex or something like that.
Sorry.
Was it Phantom of the Megaplex? That's one too.
Yeah, I think that's what it was called. Phantom of the Megaplex or at the Megaplex.
Phantom at the Megaplex.
The one with the Phantom in the movie theater.
Yeah. Like a play on Phantom of the Opera.
Don't Look Under the Bed.
Yeah.
I've probably seen though. I probably don't know them by name, but I'm sure I've seen whatever you're talking about.
I mean, like it was literally like Phantom of the Opera, but it was a movie theater.
Oh.
And it was on Disney Plus. I mean, not Disney Plus. It was on the Disney Channel.
I went there for.
You probably were watching the Disney Channel at that point, so who knows?
Yeah, Lucio. Now that I look at your background, I can't come back from the idea that this is your origin story, and I think this is really happening. Yeah.
This guy is okay. I know you haven't seen this show. You need to watch this show because this guy's so dour all the time.
Oh, tell us about
I'm worried that you would see too much of me in him.
Oh, tell us about this fictional character.
Sorry, my allergies is cutting up, Lord.
And
yeah, babes, I got it all, Billy. It was in my bottle as a baby.
Yeah, worst cough ever. But yes, they're all like the ones that are obviously being shown in October for Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, any streaming platform or live television, whatever we have now, this is the best time to watch those things because AMC got their own collection of stuff. They had them for years. They
It's
have
all
everything,
gathered
honestly.
together.
They have all the Halloweens. They have everything AMC.
Yeah.
I think Peacock, or I think it's Peacock that has all the old school like black and white.
Oh yeah,
like Monster, like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, all those movies.
Peacock has a live station, and they have one specifically for witches, and it plays Charmed all day long. Exactly. I love this place, and so sometimes, but
I live here.
I love it here. But then they switch to Vampire Diaries all day long. And girl, I know. And then
I've been real tempted to do a rewatch of that.
I'm more of a Sabrina the Teenage Witch fan.
There's nothing wrong with that.
They don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Mr. Vampire Man.
Cool.
Mr. Vampire Man, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm with you with that.
Yeah. Tell us more about your fictional.
There's no way I live this down.
Luciomon.
Yeah. Luciomon. It's probably backwards, so it's probably Nani Osolo.
Oh, you set me free.
I knew it.
No, you gotta say it 3 times.
It's always me that reads the inscriptions. It's always me. Okay. Do y'all remember The Witches with Angelica Houston?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That movie scared me so much.
See? But it wasn't scary to me. But yes.
Of course.
Creepy.
I'm sorry, you're a more astute and experienced horror person.
Are you calling me damaged?
What? Projection?
You red flag. Okay, but seriously, it was terrifying, especially when they took off their faces and then you saw what they really looked like. That is terrifying.
Yeah, and they just acted like they were just so cooped up, baby. They was like, "Ooh, can be myself."
This flesh.
Yeah.
I was more scared about being turned into something. Like, what would I do as a rat running around this hotel? I would just be so scared. So that's what I was terrified of as a kid.
Yeah, I was being like that and not knowing how to get turned back or if you can be turned back. Yeah, that's next level.
He doesn't even get turned back by the end of the movie either, does he? Because
he does.
It's still does he? I thought he was stuck as a rat at the end.
No. When they that happens, but then they go back him and his best friend, and then one of the other witches, she's like a white witch.
Okay.
I don't know if we can say that anymore, but she was. she reversed the spell. Yeah.
Oh well, then all right. So for the 90s, this one brought up like any Halloween special from The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Yep.
Yeah. Like
I was prophecy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as the original, but it's good. And Hathaway can do no wrong for me, except for Catwoman. But yeah.
No.
I meant that.
I didn't mind her Selena Kyle. Okay.
She had like 2 moments I enjoy. Is when she was when they broke into the place. She was at a restaurant and everybody came in, but she was behind it too, and she started freaking out and pretending like she was a victim, but she wasn't. That was about it.
I think that was less about her being Catwoman, more about her being Selena Kyle. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel.
I just want her. I just wanted more. But
she wasn't the focus. She's the eye candy that gets you to watch the movie.
She wasn't eye candy,
and that's fine. But Michelle.
I mean, I don't think there's no topping Michelle or like Eartha Kitt or.
That's what I'm saying.
Zoe Kravitz is under Michelle, so
yeah, I guess
she ate. But okay,
yeah.
So
yeah, that's not what we're here about.
That's not what we're here about.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, y'all need
Beetlejuice. Don't forget to
Today
add
we're ranking cat women.
Cat women.
Don't forget to add Beetlejuice to the 90s.
Beetlejuice to the 90s, yes. And the witches. Okay, let's move to the 2000s and we'll ease our way into current. Goosebumps was a large part of my childhood.
Yeah,
was that not so the 90s?
I don't know about it necessarily being outside the 90s, but I think he's referring more to the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
Okay.
No, the literature was out in the 90s for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, the TV show was the 90s too, so I feel like, but it was
the TV show, the book. Yes, the TV show, the books.
But like there's some, but like there's movies that are more current. Yeah. Because that was like Goosebumps, Erie, Indiana. That was like 90s.
Oh yes.
Right around the same time as Are You Afraid of the Dark? So all that stuff.
Oh, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Nev Campbell was in that show.
And so was T and Tamara.
Y'all gonna make me mad. Goosebumps. I loved watching Goosebumps as a kid on Nickelodeon. It was always so thrilling, and when I watched it, that's what made me get into the books. And my favorite Goosebumps books are the ones where you get to kind of like choose your story. Yes, and it would tell you what page to turn to if you make a decision. Oh my god, I used to read those books for hours.
You know
looking
what?
at all the different ways that the decisions I could make affect how the story ended. It was always so much fun for me. That really was one of the most exciting parts about reading for me as a child.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, choose your own adventures.
Those are really cool.
Oh wow.
I'm all out until commercial or something.
Well, we almost at a commercial.
Yes, we are almost at a commercial. Okay, so let's push it forward to Happy Death Day 1 and 2. So Ricky and Lucia, you may or may not have seen these.
No, have not.
So this sounds familiar, but I'm not.
You should see it.
Look, we're gonna type it right now.
It's a dark comedy.
I hate this baby.
It's a mixture of Groundhog's Day mixed with
Final Destination,
or a slasher.
Okay,
it's really fun.
Okay,
it's not scary to me, but it's so enjoyable because the concept, the idea, all of it works.
It's a thrill and it's a suspense, and I feel like more the kind of horror factor comes into the repetition of it.
Yeah,
honestly, I feel like that's what turns it into a real horror factor, because like you are trying to avoid this thing, and no matter what you do, you keep ending up at this place and then having to repeat it all over again. Like that is insane.
So I'm looking at the picture, like it. So it has the person with the mask on. It reminds me of this show on Netflix that my oldest has watched, but it's geared toward kids, and it's supposed to be like a kind of like a morality type, like question your morality about things, but like with this horror aspect. So like dealing with like too much addiction to technology, and so like so it's giving you like a Megan, or what's that new one where it's like Alexa.
It's giving Black Mirror for
kids. AI.
Yes, it was giving like it was very much Black Mirror for kids.
Okay.
So like that was like that's because it would have like a little introduction with someone like kind of give you some exposition and questioning things, and like this one person with this mask on that's kind of creeps by every time it happens, and so like it was giving me that.
Okay, I want to watch that. That sounds cool.
I gotta find it, so I'll let you know what it is.
Like a Twilight Zone vibe.
It sounds like they're teaching your kids how to survive horror movies,
and I love that.
Yeah, it was. My kid would watch it all the time. So yeah, it's one of those. It was like Black Mirror.
Okay, but Happy Death Day is about this girl, a sorority girl, in college. So she's blonde and pretty. So they check that trope off really early for us. We get just to understand who she is. And so she wakes up after, I think, a one-night stand or something like that. And she gets killed. And she wakes up the next day and it keeps happening. She has to solve what's going on and who's trying to kill her. Then we get happy.
Is it not her birthday that same day?
It's her birthday. Yeah, it's her birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's her birthday. That's important. It's her birthday.
That's super important. And then we get a happy death day too. And someone is trying to kill her again. But now they sort of expanded the world to where I think other people can remember now too what's happening. Like
okay. Sounds interesting.
But it's good. And I think we may get a third one. But the next one is The Blackening. Have y'all seen that?
No.
That sounds really familiar.
Oh, The Blackening is great. It is definitely gateway horror. It's modern day.
Okay, I do know what this is. I haven't seen it.
It's a scary movie. But it takes not so much movie tropes, specific movie tropes, but just ideals in horror that are tropes.
Okay, I think I've heard of this
especially
one.
All people of color,
especially as it pertains to
cabins,
black people in horror movies.
Yeah. And it's so good. It's so great. Again, like you said earlier, Ricky, for me, if they would have just sprinkled just a little more, this would be probably one of my faves of all time.
Just based on this, based on the poster, it looks like they lean. Like I'm guessing they're leaning more toward comedy than horror.
Yes, that is true. That is true. It's scenario based. That's all.
That's really weird. That just based on this picture, there's nothing that says, "Oh, this is going to be funny." Like, but it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people standing in a. I don't know why it looks like it's comedy. That's weird.
I mean, that's the point. It's even when you look at the trailer, it gives you that vibe. But it's definitely gateway horror. I did enjoy that movie pretty well. I do think they could have did a little bit, played with it a little bit differently, but I enjoyed it for what it was for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the director, and he starred in it. I can't remember his name. He's a comedian. Last night he got a Chainsaw Award. And if you're not familiar, those are the horror awards. And so he got one for The Blackening. So that's super dope.
That's really dope. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm trying to find the name of the show. But I'm having to dig through like the anime that's on Netflix right now to find it.
Oh, okay. What about Megan?
Okay, so
as gateway, no.
I wouldn't say
Megan is. I think
straight up
darkest. I think that's horror. It's straight up horror.
Yeah, I think it's straight. I don't think it's gateway.
She's Chucky.
So you're telling me that this story about this doll is not interesting enough for kids to be able to easily digest what they're watching?
No,
not at all.
Because we're in that. It could happen. It could happen.
That's true.
It can happen.
We saw the robot announcement. So here's the thing.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. Regarding gateway horror, I think there's two places to look at it too from, because there's a place where we're going to introduce younger kids to this, or also I'm an adult who doesn't watch horror.
Yes.
Where do I come in? Because that's entirely different area. Also, anything like a puppet or a doll, no, that's an automatic no for me.
Well, speaking to your point, that is how I approach my 3 recommendations later in the
show. All right.
Okay, but Lucio, as an adult, I think this is more digestible than you watching Exorcist.
Still don't.
No?
I still say no, even as an adult, because now I'm freaked out. You're making these horror movies now become very realistic. I mean, you just got Megan, and now they're doing this other one about this AI
smart house.
AI, whatever. Yeah, but it's not, or whatever, assistant. And this AI assistant, that can happen. We're in that period of time where these AI advancements are being made, and you keep making these movies now, and even from back then, the stuff that they made about technology turning on humanity and all this jazz, y'all pushing the envelope because now y'all playing games. Are y'all trying to make that a thing? Are you trying to make that real?
They're just foretelling what happens. We don't learn. We see the movies. We see all those things. We've had all this.
I have a question now, specifically having to do with this. So, Isaac Asimov wrote the what is the series called? Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep? Probably did he did a lot. So I read the Foundation series. I read a couple of the it's the movie iRobot with Will Smith. Mm-hmm. Like that's very science fiction-y. Does that fall into horror?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does get very dark at the. I mean, there's like.
Dark tones but that's more so one of.
I think
I don't know,
it's
too much. It's more. It leans so hard into like the sci-fi. The sci-fi action thriller, or I'm sorry, sci-fi action suspense. That I feel like it would be hard to put horror on it because of how hard it leans into those fields. And I mean, with sci-fi, it can always be an aspect of horror, but I don't think you can call all sci-fi horror. If that makes sense.
No, I wouldn't think that. But I think there's a really weird, very blurry line in there. And I think also contextually, if we lived in a world where robots had already taken over, maybe that would just be a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So to your question, to be determined.
Right. So I found the name of the show. It's called Creeped Out. I put the link in our little private chat here. So if you see the image of
that looks horrifying.
Yeah, that was a kid's show.
Drop it for the people too.
I mean, so this is just a Google link. So, but still, this is what my oldest would watch.
Give them something to click on.
This is gateway horror, and I appreciate this.
I see a mannequin. I see a puppet.
The cover alone, and with the fractured glass, and someone screaming and looking shocked in one image.
Yeah,
cool. This is good enough for me.
And so, and each episode would be a different topic. One was literally about a kid that was trying to get this brand new phone, and the brand new phone was basically controlling things in their life and posting things.
Oh,
and,
maybe I did watch some of this. Now that you're talking about it, I think I do remember something about a phone and kind of taking over her life.
But it's very much Black Mirror, where it's
places too. That's in other places too.
But yeah, this is really it's Black Mirror, where it's each episode is different, but a different topic, some kind of message involved to the extreme.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I just want you guys to know that all I can smell in this house right now is garlic bread. I know someone's making spaghetti and garlic bread right now. It smells so good.
I know you're afraid. That's what you really want to tell us. You're afraid because it's garlic. I get it.
I'm afraid of it.
It's a misdirect. It's a misdirect.
Yes. You're not going to get me. You cannot trick me.
Yeah. So where is your first time tasting?
I got bad news for you guys. You already invited me on this show.
It's really just another name
you
for
all invited me.
It's really Nosferatu.
It is.
Yeah. Let me
tell
see
us the first time you've had that your favorite dish.
Yeah. Garlic. Let me see you eat some garlic there, buddy.
Hey, so apparently garlic is an anticoagulant, and so
you would know.
Are saying oh, garlic is actually vampires spicing up their food.
Interesting that you know that.
Yeah. So you know exactly how to feed your prey before you feed for yourself. I get it.
Little flavor.
That's why you
next question
garlic and tomato sauce, because someone's getting ready to go. Oh so my God.
My next question is: so did you meet Klaus, and what was he like? 1,000 years ago, and
Klaus.
Niklaus
Michelson, you know him.
Michelson, you're right.
He don't know who Klaus is because he ain't got nothing on him. You hear me? He
Look
older
at that
than
picture
Klaus.
behind him.
I'm looking for.
There was no buildings in the world in that picture behind him.
Look,
all he had was animals.
He's pre-Ketsia and Silas, okay?
Look at all he has is animals. That's all he had.
I'm sorry.
No, there's a. I really want you guys to see this show. It's so fun. They can't see the little kid Greg.
You just want us to watch your live.
Oh wow!
This is a documentary on my life.
TaMon, second episode of this, you're gonna really enjoy it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Crazy.
Nice jacket,
what is this
by the
from?
way.
The original Vampire Diaries. Is that what this is?
Yes.
Yes.
Michael, I had to look this up.
Did you
Way to
hang out
change
with
the subject.
Angelus, or were you friends with Angel? That's the question.
He's way old. Do you know Armand?
I'm trying to think of like what actual vampire world I would fit in. It would be
I'm
Like, what
telling
about
you.
William the Bloody? Like, who'd you hang out with? Drusilla, Darla.
it'd be the saddest. It'd be like, oh, I just like hung out in the village. It'd be really
in Transylvania.
It'd be so boring.
You swear all you fed on was animals. You're not gonna play with us. We know you're a savage. You're a savage.
He's from Transylvania.
I can feel your hearts dancing.
Okay, we're gonna take another commercial break. And when we get back, we're gonna talk about our top recommendations for Gateway Horror. Make sure that you get the card game, killer card game here. If you go to Instagram, you can get the Psycho Killer card game yourself. It's really
But also, if you are a content creator, a show writer, producer, and you would like to advertise something on Geekin Out or Scream Kings, please reach out to us on social media. We would love to help promote your work. We're all about promoting upcoming artists and content creators. So,
and
please.
if you are also a supernatural creature and you would like to promote your life story as Lucy does, please feel free to reach out to us because obviously we support everyone.
You know, I'm trying to think about movie recommendations. I don't think it's gonna help this situation.
No.
And thank you. I think you should go next. First, Lucio.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. Yes! Have it ready.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So-
you can end.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let me see what I think I had notes for this. Just a second. Let me look. Okay. So yeah. So my
Your friends over there.
yeah. So like, if you like, honestly, if you're looking for like any gateway horror stuff, like for any age, like almost any age, like if you're like a little baby, like I think like age 6, 8, 10, probably fine for all of the Universal movie monsters. Age 3, these movies are like you get a sense of who the characters are, like oh, what do these monsters do? Like, what are their abilities? What is their backstory? And they're honestly, the writing's pretty good. They're usually fairly closely based on the books. They're not scary anymore. I'm sure that when they were made, I think I'm looking at like Dracula, Frankenstein in 1931, Invisible Man's 1933. They're not scary anymore. I remember I started watching these because I was at the library and they had like little like kid chat books on each of these, and I was like, oh, I want to know what these are now. And I was like, I don't know, like 8 or 10. They're not scary. Frankenweenie, if you've seen Frankenstein, it's this with the dog. What is that shaking your head?
Only thing I've seen up here is one thing.
Which one?
To the top right, people.
Oh, that's it?
You
haven't seen Frankenweenie?
On top of all your friends. And
No.
So imagine. Oh my goodness! Imagine. So you know the Frankenstein story, except it's about a kid who loves his dog. Like that's all you need to know. It's all done in black and white. It's
but why is it called Frankenweenie when Frankenstein wasn't
Frankenstein?
But no,
dog
but
gets
Frankenstein wasn't the monster's name. Frankenstein was the doctor's name. So in this story, the child's name should be the story's name. I'm already
The
can't.
kid was kind of a weenie though in the story.
It's true.
Oh.
Although I think the kid's name might be. Well, I'm gonna look it up now.
I'm sorry. I already can't follow this. And I see your autobiography, Over the Garden Wall.
Over the Garden Wall. That's okay. So Over the Garden Wall. I keep recommending this to everyone. It's really good. I think it's like 8 or 10 episodes. They're like 12 minutes long. The writing is fantastic. The episodes are really short. They feel like 30-minute episodes. Like that's how rich they are. Really good. It leans really heavily into like fairy tale tropes. But also there's like right from the onset. I will say the first episode, the most uneven episode of all of them. And it does lean heavily into horror because it's setting up that these two kids are being pursued by the Beast, who is there's a woodsman who always shows up with his lantern, and he is kind of keeping the Beast at bay, but also not. And he's voiced by Dr. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future. I can't remember the actor's name.
Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? Not Michael Douglas.
No, what is his name? Marty McFly.
What is that?
Golly.
Don't tell us if you find it. Did you find it, Lucia?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, tell me the first letter of his name.
C. First name is C.
Christopher.
Yep.
And what's the next letter of
L.
his? Christopher.
2 L's.
Lloyd. Christopher
Yes,
Lloyd.
2 L's.
Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh,
yeah, Lloyd.
so like the guy that's been like almost everything in our childhood at some point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
He has the
Uncle
best voice because he's
Chester.
going the whole time. He's like, the beast is coming for you. I must have the alder wood.
That's
Yeah,
how
it's really
he talks.
It's really good. I've watched this a few times. I may have practiced. And it's so the first episode is, I would say, is pretty scary because I showed this to my kids when they're like, oh, I don't know. I showed this to my nephews too, probably a little too early. But the first episode's a little bit scary for like little kids. Like if you're under 8, it's probably a little bit scary. But besides that, it's really good. And not every episode is scary, but it does get a little bit dark near the end. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the show. And again, I think Elijah Wood is the voice of this.
He is.
Yeah. And I don't remember who the little kid Greg is. And there's a frog. The frog talks in like one episode. It's really good. So these are 3 like movie recommendations. The other ones that I looked at, I was like, okay, like there's other things that I enjoy media of all types. Let's look at what else there is. I'd wanted to put a video game in here, but I think the issue that I have with the video game is that sometimes, like if you're not into horror and you pick up a video game, the thing that video games do that other literature doesn't do is they give you agency. So I had a whole master's thesis on this, but basically it's like they involve you in the action of it much more than just reading a book or watching a movie. Like you're actually involved with this process. Like I played Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 when they came out, and they scared the crap out of me. But I literally was, because I was playing it like midnight. I was in college, maybe high school, college, but I was playing them at midnight, and was like, okay, I need to not do this anymore because this is stupid. But it's the only time I had access to the TV. And then also I was like, eventually I was like, I need to just finish this so that I can get this, like whatever the end is, I just need to know it so it's done, and then it can just not be part of my brain anymore, because I was having like crazy dreams.
They just put out a new one. You should play it.
I love that series.
I tried. Hated it.
Oh, it's a snooze fest for me.
Oh, see, that's really interesting, because I think that like
there were certain aspects where I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like there were times where I was playing it where I felt a little bit of fear, but it was so short that it was just like, okay, so what are you even doing?
Yeah,
this is not.
Do you like Resident Evil, the Resident Evil series?
Yeah. So not the first person ones. I have not become a fan of those at this time. Okay. I do plan to try and play the Village one, because I heard that was one of the best ones to play. So but it's just been sitting in my library untouched because I have so many other things that I'd rather play.
That's really interesting to me, because the Resident Evil is a lot of jump scares and a lot of like gore focused or like more immediate terror focused. Silent Hill is much more like pondery and slow and like dealing with your demons kind of thing, which is like I said, I like sad horror. Like this is sad horror. The second one is entirely about a guy dealing with his guilt about his wife dying. Like he was cheating on his wife while she was dying, and that is the guilt that he bears. And so that's what the whole second game is about.
I think the problem for me is it doesn't do a good job of pulling me into the story. Like,
it is a lot of like. There's a lot of like, oh, go read the wiki kind of stuff to it too. It's like, oh, what is
it? Doesn't make me invest. It doesn't make me want to invest in it.
Yeah.
I don't mind Resident Evil having all these different storylines, but if they could just like come together and say, hey, this is what this is about, right? You're handling this over here in your little story, and let's pull some things together and make an overall story. They won't ever do that. They just keep doing these different random stories, which are fine, giving us experience, but what are we here for? Okay, next.
Oh, so my last two. We're Alive is a podcast. It is a zombie story. It's a zombie story. Zombies happen. So what I think someone said, suddenly zombies. It actually takes place in California, which was really funny because like they named some places like, oh, I don't live from there. Oh, this is like right around the corner from me. Oh, I know exactly where that is. But it is done as a radio play, and the conceit is that it's these people writing in their like they've been instructed to write in their diaries to kind of keep track of what's happening, and so that there's a record of this, and so they're like it's a full voice cast. It's really well done. They did a lot of the Foley work for it themselves. It's really cool. There's some places where there's like some like radio play weirdness because it's like, oh my gosh, I can see this thing happening on the horizon. Like, okay, that's a little bit cheesy, but it's a lot of fun, and it's fair. There's a good number of episodes, and I think there's 4 offshoots. One of them is like my favorite villains in this thing is there's some prisoners who escaped, and there's a whole branch of story that is just like the prisoners, like what happened when zombies turn and they're in the prison, and then how did they get out? So it's just a lot of really fun stuff. And for me, it's like, oh, can I do it while I'm driving, or I can do it while I'm chopping vegetables or whatever I'm doing. The last one, Mongrels, it's a werewolf story. You know, right? It starts a werewolf story. It's written by my mentor professor Stephen Graham Jones. He is Blackfoot Native American, and so the characters in this are, I think that they are Native, and so there's all this stuff that has to do with them being Native and also being werewolves because they have to kind of like be outsiders. They can't really associate with society. Oh, I lost you, Ricky.
The Hollow.
The Hollow.
And so what I really like is it's not like overtly scary. There's werewolves and there's like rules for being werewolves and all this stuff that's very interesting. But also the way the story is told, there's like for me, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening in this story moment, like probably 2/3 of the way through the book. And I was like, oh, okay, this got really cool all of a sudden.
Licio, can you give me a signed copy of this?
I could actually. I do have Steven's number somewhere. It's really good. It's really good.
I want to read it.
All right. Ready?
Yep. Okay, guys. Mine is, let's do right from life. So right from left. Chaos Theory, Jurassic Park. Yeah, right from left. Yeah. Chaos Theory, Jurassic Park. It's the second part of the first one, which is just Jurassic Park something. I can't remember the first one.
Camp Cretaceous.
Camp Cretaceous.
Camp Crustaceous.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a different one.
That's awful.
What a mashup!
Jurassic World, Chaos Theory, and it's the previous show was Jurassic World,
Camp Cretaceous, right?
Yeah, Camp Cretaceous. Okay, so I started on the original. Yeah, thanks. I started on the original show. And these kids start off as like middle schoolers, and it is so good. It's compelling. I've cried watching this show. They get trapped on the island, and they have to survive without any adults by themselves for like a year.
And it's in the timeline of the Jurassic Park movies, which is really, really well done.
Yes, it's so smart. And then it jumps after that 3 seasons of that. It jumps to this new show now that has 2 seasons, and the third one comes out in a couple of weeks, or it may be out already. But the third season, they are adults almost, and the main character, who was Jenna Ortega, in season 1 of the new show, she's dead, and it's a part of this whole thing, a murder mystery around her character now as they're adults. And then season 2 is just it's so good, y'all, to see how these characters grow up and the traumas and how it impacts each and every one of them. It is a really good show. You should check it out.
The first Camp Cretaceous was great. It's
so good.
So many adults get eaten off screen in that show, but like it's not like the adults got eaten somewhere else. No, the kids are looking, and it cuts to the kids like watching an adult die.
Yes.
Trauma.
It's a lot of death in this show.
So many times.
Yeah. Tons of murders. And I mean, they even play with the idea of, if you keep up with the franchise, dinosaurs basically have rights and laws almost, and how you can govern them in American soil. It's weird, right?
Right.
They sort of play with the concept of humanity towards these animals.
Right.
And it's interesting play on them, because some of them have friends with them, but the other times, the animals are trying to destroy them. So they do a cool job at like balancing the two. Okay, so the next one is Goosebumps. So I wasn't really the biggest fan of the one with Jack Black, but recently they put out someone with, I can't think of his name, but he was in Jeepers Creepers.
The newest one?
Daryl.
There's like a TV series in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
His name is Justin Long.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I've been watching. I just recently started watching that one. That was on like the stream.
Hulu.
Yeah. So I was watching it via Disney Plus though.
Yes.
So they were just showing that, and that one's pretty interesting.
It's so good.
That was giving me like almost like Pretty Little Liars type.
Yes, it's just like that.
Yeah.
Is it a series?
It's a series. Yeah.
Okay.
You should definitely check it out. It's really good. The horror is the perfect balance for the type of show that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's great. The next one, I keep falling asleep on the first season, but I've enjoyed all the episodes. Fright Crew. It's about witches. No, it's good. It's just that I'm tired when
I keep falling asleep.
You watch
all the episodes. That's me. That's me all the time.
It's the first season.
No, listen to me. I watch it late at night, and I end up going to sleep. But it's good. I've been into it, right?
Wait, I'm looking for where the redhead is.
Watching it.
I'm looking for the redhead.
It's good, y'all. It's a very diverse cast. It's set in New Orleans. They accidentally get these powers from these deities that they awaken for whatever the situation is, and now they all have these magical gifts, and they have to do these certain things. It's almost like Scooby-Doo. Check this one out. The main character is great. She has a lot of power. Awesome. You see her there. It's great. Is anyone
So which one of these kids has water and wind, and which one has heart?
Well, no, you gotta get. That's because you gotta get into the main girl. You see, she got fire. So
yeah,
she said, and see, he said she has a lot of power. That's what
she does. She does.
She has a lot of power. If the character is a woman and she has a lot of power, he's gonna.
I was looking for the redhead. That's what I was looking for.
That's a bonus.
That's it.
Bonus.
Yeah,
that's like icing on the cake. That's icing.
It is.
She has auburn hair. It's just a very dark red.
You know what? Probably her skin is auburn. That's how they wrote it.
Yeah. She's a red bone from New Orleans.
But they do the thing that's I don't really like, because this happens to characters that I like in stories. But they take the popular, pretty, mean girl and give her like super strength. And so I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But I like the lead more anyway, so it's fine.
Well, that sounds like miraculous too. Oh.
Yeah. So the girl to the far right, you can barely see her. She's like La Cienega Boulevardez from.
That's exactly what I was saying.
She's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She's exactly like that. And she is the one who gets super strength and she hates it. She hates it. And she's not like, yeah, girl, I would feel the same way.
That's what she did. You can't have it all.
You can't have it all. Like what you wanted? Telekinesis? You wanted to be able to do other badass things? No.
Right.
You don't deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Jeremy, yes.
Secret of Silver. Yes, that one's good too. That was so good.
Dead End Paranormal Park needed a third season, and they didn't give it to him. It was so good. There's at the end of season 1, spectacular reveal. End of season 2, like just the show
cartoons.
Yeah,
no. Sulphur Springs is not a cartoon. So Sulphur Springs was I think it was actually on Disney Channel, and then they would after like a week they would put the new episode on Disney Plus. But like Sulphur Springs is like this family moves back into their hometown into this house that is like haunted in a way, and they're trying to turn it into Airbnb or a bed and breakfast.
I know that's
right. So but like there's a part of the house where like the kids that are from the neighborhood, like the boy that lives there and his friend that he meets, like they go back in time to when the house was like literally like a hotel. And so they're trying to figure out like why they keep going back, what some unfinished business is going on during that time, and it's very good.
Yeah,
Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
Dead End Paranormal Park is animated. It's
okay.
That one is these two kids get, I think they're like summer jobs at a it's like Disneyland, right? Like a park, but it's dedicated to this woman who had this like all these movies she was in, and then supposedly the park is haunted by her spirit. Spoiler, it super duper is. There's a bunch of other like weird demon and haunting and stuff. Like it's really, really fun. There's like a lot of really cool the writing's really good. I can't remember the writer's name, but it's based on a graphic novel series or something called Dead India, and then so they got 2 seasons of this. They I think they only needed 1 more season to finish it, and of course Netflix canceled it, but it's very, very good.
Okay, I want
even with it, even knowing that the second season, like it's like first season great, second season spectacular.
Okay, all right, those are all my choices.
All right, so some of mine are like I've talked about this before over the years. I've talked about it before. So
I should have changed one of mine.
Oh, so it's fine. No, so Are You Afraid of the Dark? So this is one of the ones where like because of when it came on, I was definitely scared as opposed to like when Goosebumps came on. Goosebumps was definitely one of those Saturday morning, like after the cartoons, before they got into the educational stuff on Saturdays on Fox. It was Goosebumps, and I could watch that. Are You Afraid of the Dark would happen on a Saturday night on Nickelodeon, and I would be scared to watch that. But I remember watching them eventually, like, watching and enjoying. They were good stories. Beetlejuice, both the movie and the cartoon, like things I grew up with. Corpse Bride is something that I didn't get into until my oldest started watching it. Same thing with Coraline. We even ended up reading the book for Coraline a little later on. And then so this one I thought was a good one, this last one, because we've been listening to the latest soundtrack of it, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber on Fleet Street, and we've been listening to the whole like soundtrack of the Broadway musical in the car, not the Johnny Depp version, like the straight up Broadway musical. So if you guys haven't seen that, not necessarily seen, but like you at least listen to it, it's great stuff. So that would be my intro to horror, because it's kind of creepy. And so if you guys didn't know, like Sweeney Todd is based off of like a short comic strip from way back then. So there's a small little story before how they get into the actual musical. So
speaking of Sweeney Todd, who did that? Who produced that?
It It seems like a Tim Burton film.
Tim Burton. Did Tim Burton do that?
Tim Burton did the film with Johnny Depp, and
That's what I meant. And he also did not Corpse Bride, but
I think Corpse Bride was his.
Oh, and he also did Beetlejuice.
Yes,
but he didn't do Coraline.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
He didn't do Coraline.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Technically, yes.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
I wish I would have put that together before now. We should have talked about him because he's the king of gateway horror, apparently.
Yes. And we've talked about Tim Burton before.
The first Batman.
Yes.
Which is super dark.
It is dark. Yes. It is dark. Very. Yes, it is.
That Joker.
Totally, yeah.
That Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those gave some really dark, like, it's even, I feel like it's even darker than the realistic reasons that we saw in like Gotham or the Dark Knight series for some of these characters. But yeah, definitely, Tim Burton was your gateway horror. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Edward Scissorhands, now that I think about it, that's definitely gateway horror. I love that movie growing up, and maybe one of my favorite Christmas movies now that I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Stewart's in there from Scream.
Is he?
I think he's the boyfriend.
No, that was
Is it not?
No, he was in 16 Candles. That's the boy. That was
Anthony Michael Hall.
So, no, that's just 16 Candles. Yeah, he was in 16 Candles. Yep. He was a Brat Pack kid.
Yeah, he sure is.
Oh, okay.
Well, not necessarily.
You're right. You're right.
Yes, he was. He was one of them.
Well, he was like the younger ones of the Brat Pack. Yeah. But yes, essentially from that era.
Yeah, but Johnny Depp, Winona Ryder, they're all part of that journey for us too.
Yeah.
And Coraline, I'm glad you put that one on there because there was a time I didn't really care for any animated stuff. And so this was one that was really good to me. Terry Hatcher was great in this as the mom.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's really good.
Yes.
It's a weird movie too.
Yes.
It was. Yes. And the book
was Us by Jordan Peele.
I was looking up there was a theory that like if you haven't seen Coraline or read the book, but like that Coraline actually isn't like alive, but is stuck in that alternate world. She just doesn't realize it yet. I thought that was a good theory. It's been a while since I've watched it and read the book though.
Yeah, I may venture back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are my picks.
Yay.
And then, I gave a little extra for my musical theater friends. So
your page is filled with nostalgia, and I love it.
Yes, that's my spiel. All right.
Period.
No, me. Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna start with one that before I'm gonna go from right to left as well because Don't Look Under the Bed is actually one of my favorite Disney Channel movies for Halloween time, and I was just talking about it with my little sister this past weekend because when this movie first came out, it was scary. It was scary to me. It's very creepy. It's basically about a young girl who has imaginary friends, and it's about a young girl who has already kind of outgrown her imaginary friend, and so there's a lot of weird things happening around town, like physically that other people are aware of, a lot of pranks and stuff that are going on. And there's another imaginary friend who is the young black man there in the center. He is an imaginary friend, and he is letting her know that she's being framed by a boogeyman. And so what happens is whenever a child stops believing in their imaginary friend too soon, that imaginary friend becomes a boogeyman. And so it's under the bed because boogeyman's under your bed. And there's actually a whole nother world under that bed. So there's where the imaginary friend of the boogeyman be at. So that's why I thought
Little Monsters.
Yeah, Little Monsters. That's what I thought about when we were talking about
connected.
It's a really, really good movie. If you have not seen it, it's a great introduction. I promise you, if you watch it, it is such a good time. It's funny, but it's also super, super creepy. A lot of the special effects were really cool, especially with the way that they made the boogeyman look and the transformations. It was definitely, it's a fantasy horror film that Disney came out with, and it was phenomenal.
Watch it.
Yes, please. Lost Boys. I mean, that's more so for the adults. So you've got two brothers living in the town. One kind of starts to get attracted to this biker gang of vampires who they're actually vampires, and so it's centered around kind of like the brother trying to rescue his brother from the clutches of these vampires. But it's not as heavy. Because they kind of mix in like a coming of age story into it that kind of leaves it a little bit. And so it's really kind of cool how they kind of dial down the I guess the fear factor of vampires. They kind of dial it down a little bit to where it doesn't feel like a foreboding kind of thing, and it's more just like a creepy, cool, laid back, attractive thing. So I think that's kind of cool.
That's
so
just good PR.
I don't know if they dialed it back. I think they were intentionally placed throughout the film, but those moments were definitely intense. This is a really good choice, Cadence. I really like. This is one of my favorites growing up too. Corey Haim was so good in this as a child actor. That was his time. And
everybody in
Corey Haim's in there.
Yeah, he made this not so much horror. Even though he was in, is that him? Yeah, even though he was in Friday the 13th as a kid, that was terrifying. That was horror. But this was a little bit different for what he gave us. So, yeah.
So that's a great movie for any adults who are like not really into horror just yet because you're kind of apprehensive about it. This is a great introduction. Yes, there will be some moments where it does get a little tense, but not like. I don't think it's too scary. I don't think it's too scary for you to be able to not tolerate it. So great movie to watch. It's a classic. Are You Afraid of the Dark? You just already mentioned. For me, I loved it as a kid. They did about 7 seasons, and then they got a reboot in 2019. The first 7 seasons were each 13 episodes, basically like campfire stories. They were like the Midnight Society is kind of what they kind of called themselves, which is interesting because it made me. I didn't just think about this until now. They had the Midnight Society come on Netflix. I think it is. There's a show called Midnight Society that came out. But Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Midnight Society. Each one would start with the member telling a story about something. That just kind of foreboding. So it's just campfire stories, and that's something that really got me into.
Bunch of hoodlum kids up to no good.
But it got me telling stories as a little kid, and kind of wanting to do that with my friends too. It was very, very good watch. Not too scary. And it can be fun. Sometimes it would deal with some things that kind of. Some morality, and then I think at some point there does come a time where the stories aren't so much stories because they're actually happening to them. It's like they're actually involved in some stuff. I think that does happen somewhere in there if I remember correctly. But yeah, so that's a great series to watch. And since this was mentioned, just honorable mention, even though it's not here, I'm just going to throw out the Goonies.
Goonies,
I kind of give that little gateway horror kind of adventure fantasy vibe. Just kind of the with the whole tales of the buried treasure and the Mongoliard man. Like at first it was a little weird, but then kind of got fun and heartwarming. But something else. That's me. That's my time.
What was that?
Reclaiming my time.
Come on.
I'm so sorry. Okay, this list was absolutely the lists were great, guys. We did amazing.
Yes.
Give us a round of applause for that.
All right. We didn't mention Twilight Zone.
We didn't mention Vampire Diaries either.
No. Or Buffy.
X-Files.
There's so much.
X-Files. It was boring to me. I'm sorry. It was
If
always.
you can do Twilight, if you can do Twilight Zone, you can do X-Files.
I didn't agree with it.
Just saying.
Okay, well, what are we covering next week?
Good question. I feel like it's. Well, you should know because you technically wanted the whole month of October.
Yeah, but you have the receipts, so that's what.
Everyone, TaMon doesn't know what it is. It's his fault,
and that's absolutely fine. I'll just make up something in about 5
Right.
minutes.
Oh,
Right.
is it supposed to be witches? It's creatures of the night.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
So it's
Lucio, you want that?
witches,
Oh,
werewolves, and vampires. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Okay, this
Lucio,
will be
you're
exciting.
I'm up.
Yeah.
Is that me? I
You're
thought
gonna
that
give
was
us
TaMon.
No, that's all TaMon.
That was all TaMon. I think I'm supposed to be
No.
co-hosting this one. Yeah.
No, I mean I'm just saying, like
You mean my heritage is involved?
Yes.
as a representation of the
Because I'm
community.
Mexican.
As a representation of the creatures of the community, this is about you. It's your time.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Okay, I hope you guys have watched up on your vampire shows
Absolutely.
and your werewolf shows.
Yeah.
Oh, next week's gonna be super fun. So make sure you guys come hang out with us. We're gonna have a blast on this topic that we all knew about for a very long time.
we did plan this months ago and then just forgot.
But also just make sure that you are liking and subscribing.
Share.
Push the buttons.
Do all the
buttons,
things.
ding the bells, thumbs the thumbs.
Mhm,
Also,
mhm.
make sure you follow us on like subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You see little snippets of the show there. Share it with your friends. Pass
Please.
the word along.
Do all the things.
All the things.
And
Yes.
with that being said, I'm TaMon.
I'm Ricky.
I'm Cadence.
And I'm Lucio.
And we're
And we're geeking out.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
You know what? Lucio, you messed the pacing up. It's your fault.
I did on purpose.
that's on purpose.
I did on
That's on purpose.
I like it when it's a little bit wrong.
He's a villain. Hello.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Right.